everyone. Thanks for being here. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. I just finished a short video on Itai-Doshin, and I'll link it in the description below. Or one of the flag things that comes up at the end, those end cards. Anyway, this Gosho is called Many in Body, One in Mind. And Nichiren's basically writing a letter to his friends in the Atsuhara, I think, area. And you know that, Atsuhara. And, we know of the Atsuhara persecution. We know of a lot of things in that area that were very tragic. There were a lot of followers of Nichiren in that area. And because it was kind of known by other communities that there was a hotbed, if you will, of Nichiren supporters in that area, the shogunate often took the opportunity, if they had any warriors in the area or even assignments, and would hassle those followers. And when samurais hassle you, it's not just a matter of being heckled. They take your property. They may take your loved one. They'll levy things on you. They may hurt you, kill you, and at very least will bring you to the edge of your life to renounce your support for Nichiren. So it's not a very happy time, and still many people, as humans are wont to do, find ways to secretly, but even more dedicatedly, do what it is they want to do. And in this case, it's follow Nichiren's teachings of the Lotus Sutra, right? So, I'll say one more thing, too, about the time, is that, I've mentioned this before, they didn't have email or USPS or any of that. So communications would rely on visitations. So if somebody from that neighborhood would go with maybe an entourage and go to where Nichiren was exiled or moved to or hiding out or whatever, and deliver support, some food, robes, things of that nature, money, and bring with them tons of communications, right? And then they would stay there and live with Nichiren for a while, and Nichiren would take to replies, either to a group of people or singular, and so on and so forth. And that visiting party would then take those communications and bring them back with them. And so there would be this lag of communication, depending on how arduous the travel might be. It might take weeks before they could make it in one journey, one way, and then weeks back, right? In this particular case, I think Nichiren will mention it later in the letter, that he apologizes for not being able to respond sooner. Evidently, the last visit he had, the entourage that came, he identifies one person, couldn't stay. They had to leave probably the following day, and Nichiren had no time to write a considered response. So he had to wait till the next time people came out there, right? So here it is, Many in Body, One in Mind. He starts out, I received the white quilted robe and the thick quilted cotton one, as well as 1,000 coins, through the good offices of Hokibo, and so he received them through Hokibo is Nichiren's name he gave his one of his inner circle of disciples, if you will, Nikko. And Hokibo and Sadobo, another of the inner circle, and the believers in Atsuhara have proved the strength of their resolve. So now we know where Nikko was living, right? If the spirit of many in body but one in mind prevails among the people, they will achieve all their goals. Whereas if one in body but different in mind, they can achieve nothing remarkable. So I really want you to go check out that Itai-Doshin video, because I really explore that idea. The more than 3,000 volumes of the Confucian and Taoist literature are filled with examples. So it's not just a Buddhist idea, but Buddhism makes this is a very strong concept in Sangha, in Buddhist practice. I'll just say that. But Nichiren is pointing out that, great thinkers throughout time have understood this concept. King Chao of Yin led 700,000 soldiers into battle against King Wu of Chao and his 800 men. Yet King Chao's army lost because of disunity, while King Wu's men defeated him because of perfect unity. Even an individual at cross purposes with himself or herself is certain to end in failure. And this is our plight as human beings, right? In samsara, we often do things that are counterproductive, self-destructive, you might say, right? That's the nature of the way we are in our human existence. This is why it's so important to chant the Daimoku of Myoho Renge Kyo in order to align our minds, our human minds, with our Buddha mind. Take control of that mind and keep it focused on the maximal potential, our awakening, our clarity, and not be at cross purposes. So, he goes on. Yet 100 or even 1,000 people can definitely attain their goal if they are of one mind. Though numerous, the Japanese will find it difficult to accomplish anything because they are divided in spirit. So now we can see how contemporaneous this is. Look at the situation in the United States. Look at the situation in Brazil, and all over the world, right? We have people not just on, we hear it in the West as people voting against their own self-interests. It couldn't be more right out of this page that I just read. People working against their own best interest. It's a crazy habit of humans to stand on rhetorical grounds without analyzing what they're really doing, what they're really saying. And humans can become quite fervent about their misled attitudes. You gotta look inward. You gotta find the truth for you and your life, and not be misled by slogans and marketing and belonging. In contrast, Nichiren says, although Nichiren and his followers are few, because they are different in body but united in mind. And so what does he mean by united in mind? Again, please look to the Itai-Doshin video that I put up. But just because I'm in the middle of this, I will say united in mind is not meaning that we are a team and all of us are rah-rah, but that you can identify the team or the Sangha by its mighty individuals, each of us striving for our clarity, our maximal potential, our maximal understanding of the world in our environs. By nature, by Buddhist practice, we are including all of those around us because we are not separate. We are not, though in samsara we think of ourselves as individual. It's in the words I just said, self, individual, me, right? As Buddhists, we understand that we're using that trope, that delusion, to immediately connect us with our environs, which is in fact not separate. That delusion is that we're separate, but we're not. So when we, in fact, reach for our enlightened nature, we are doing the same for our conjoined environs, which includes other people. So when we chant for our enlightenment, we are chanting for our enlightenment, as well as our own me singular light bulb of aha, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, this is my Buddhahood and my clarity. That clarity clearly shows us that we are not unique. We are unique only in our self-experience, but we are not unique in Buddhahood. That all of us share in that enlightenment. That you cannot be, I'll put it this way, you cannot be happy without your environment also being happy. Right? You want to take a deep breath of life. You can only do it if you're in oxygen, air. Try sinking into the ocean about 20 feet and take that big breath of air. It's not there. You and your environment are not separate things. So this is the unity of Buddhism. Once again, language gets in the way. Translation gets in the way. Right? The unity is a fundamental subparticle, subatomic thing. Right? So when you chant with that Ichinen, with the idea that not only are you going to pierce the veil of your understanding, but you are going to pierce the veil of all understanding. Wow, right? Immense. All right, let's go on. They will definitely accomplish their mission of widely propagating the Lotus Sutra. So how does widely propagating the Lotus Sutra happen? Exactly that. By your singular activity, which is not singular in you alone, but here's the trope, singular as the entity of life itself. Remember, this practice, it's a very individually driven practice. You have to commit, but what you're committing to is infinitely larger than you. This is why it's so exciting. This is why when you fuse with Gohanzen, it's almost unfathomable what you feel. The elevation of spirit, the clarity of mind, the answers that come flooding into your head, that whatever you first entered your daimoku with, whatever baggage you had going on in your head, can't even remember it. It's gone. Or if you do remember it, you see how you can navigate it. We start to, sometimes it's really heavy, and you just begin to feel like your body feels like it's energized about it, even if your mind lags behind. Just means more daimoku, right? Nichiren continues, though evils may be numerous, they cannot prevail over a single great truth. Thus, just as many raging fires are quenched by a single shower of rain, this principle also holds true with Nichiren and his followers. You have served the Lotus Sutra with devotion for many years, and in addition, you demonstrated remarkable resolve during the recent incidents at Atsuhara. I alluded to those earlier. Many people have mentioned this, and Hokibo and Sadobo have also said so. I have listened carefully and reported everything to the deity of the sun and to the sun goddess. So this is Japan rhetoric, right? That they are the land of the rising sun and so forth. So Nichiren knows the culture he's dealing with. He knows that it's kind of extraneous, but to people who grow up in that culture, their ideology of being people of the sun is a very strong validation for their identities. And again, we don't attain Buddhahood without being human first, right? So Nichiren always pays respect to where we're from, where we're going, and the reason that makes this practice difficult. We're doing something very unsamsaric. So there's going to be a bit of a dissonance, right? I should have replied to you earlier, Nichiren says, but there was no one who could bring this letter to you. Achara-ben left here so quickly that I had no time to finish writing this before his departure. I said this earlier. All of you have been wondering whether the Mongols will really attack again. But I believe that invasion is now imminent. Though the fall of our country would be deplorable, if the invasion does not take place, the Japanese people will slander the Lotus Sutra more than ever, and all of them will fall into the hell of incessant suffering. The nation may be devastated by the superior strength of the Mongols, but the slander of the correct teaching will cease almost entirely. Defeat would be like moxicotry, which cures disease, or like acupuncture, which relieves pain. Both are painful at the moment, but bring happiness later. So he's not cheering for the Mongols to invade, but he realizes that he's against such great odds with the pure word school and so many minds of the Japanese and their hatred for Nichiren, demonstrating its fallacies, that it may in fact take the country to fall to its knees before people will just finally let go of their erroneous views and give the Lotus Sutra its due. He doesn't want that, but it looks like that's where they're headed again. Nichiren is the emissary of the Lotus Sutra. The Japanese are like King Mihirakula, who eliminated Buddhism throughout Jambudvipa. The Mongol Empire may be like King Himatala, a messenger from heaven sent to punish those hostile to the votary of the Lotus Sutra. If the Japanese repent in their present existence, they will be like King Ajatasattu, who became a follower of the Buddha, cured his white leprosy, and prolonged his life by 40 years. These are stories from the sutra, right? Though lacking the roots of a resolute mind and conviction, he reached the first stage of security, and his present life gained the realization that phenomena are neither born nor perish. With my deep respect, Nichiren. So, this is a story of, well, again, a letter of appreciation for the people of the Atsahara region. But, again, a lesson about commitment, resolve. And that resolve, though it may seem a lonely self-practice, is never truly lonely or alone. And even we have great thousands of miles of distances between you and I. And yet when we share in this practice, we are connected. We are not separate. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Let's achieve our Buddha-ness, our Buddha nature. Let's do it together, each one of us. Let's lift that hovercraft. Okay, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thanks for participating. Support if you can. Oh yes, the Buddhahood podcast. All of these videos are made audio files, and you can find them wherever you get your podcast. The Buddhahood podcast, all 3 words. All right, take care of yourself, take care of your health, and I'll see you in the next one.